Good morning, everybody, and Merry Christmas. It is December 25th, 11:28 p.m. I think it probably around 70 degrees Fahrenheit outside right now. Let's see, 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's see if it says what it feels like. It doesn't say what it feels like, and I don't feel like clicking in. But yeah, so anyways, yeah, so we are at 70 or 65 degrees. But it's like 2.5 degrees Celsius per degree Fahrenheit. So if we start at 0, that's 30 degrees. So I guess it's like 13 degrees Celsius. Let's see. 5 degrees to Celsius. 18.333 degrees. Apparently I can get help with my toughest homework problems. So here we go. All right, so basically, this application is a ThreeJS application. I started recently creating issues to work on. Um, and this is one useful thing about, very, very useful thing about GitHub is it will tell you like sort of what the makeup of your application is. So this application is 95.5% TypeScript, 2.8% HTML, and 1.7% SCSS. I think that makes sense. We have a ton of TypeScript just to sort of mostly, I mean, for all kinds of different purposes, but mostly just to sort of make sense of like how different parts of 3JS visualizations sort of fit together. As part of the process, we've sort of organically come up with some of, you know, I'm not calling these best practices in general, but best practices that, oh, it's your Christmas too, Gretchen. So I brought her 2 nuts. One is an almond, which I know she really likes a lot, and the other is pistachio. And it's already cracked for her. I don't think she can crack a pistachio on her own. And I don't give her pistachios very often. But in our new set, we do have pistachios. So here's your pistachio. Now, she will likely squawk when I go to put this in there. So she likes the pistachio a lot. She's going crazy on the pistachio. So Merry Christmas, Rhett. Merry Christmas. Um, so anyways, yeah, so let's go ahead and go to our issues. So one of the best practices that I'm not calling these best practices in general. Oh, and I did want to mention the lighting. You may notice my lighting is a little different. It is a later in the day, so the light that's coming from the window is a little different. And then I used to have a light up there, but we have found a better use for it. That was a great use for it. I loved it up there, but we found a better use for it in a different part of the house. So I will be trying to purchase a new light soon. Probably before the weekend, I would imagine I will have a new light that goes up there. But anyways, so I like to look at these oldest to newest just basically because once we get enough of these issues, we're going to have them rolling off the page, and so you won't even see the oldest ones. So geometry service to have a strongly typed dictionary like camera and renderer. I think I have like a couple of these, right? Update mesh service to have it strongly, and then material and then mesh. So it looks like we have 3 things that don't do that. I don't know if that makes sense, but let's go ahead and go just sort of do a 30,000 foot sort of flyover of this thing. So we are in the material service. So what we see is this any up here. And I don't really like that. If at all possible, I like to avoid any's because I guess there's just different aspects of coding, right? Like there's the part of your coding. Let me clean this off. There's the part of your coding where like you're, deep in something, just coding. And when you get into that mode and you're like sort of pushing your mental CPU up to like 100%, any little thing that you can do to make things a little bit more understandable is so worth its weight in gold. Um, so like while we're just talking about things, it's not that hard to sort of make sense of it. But once I'm in the actual in the throes of coding, deep down inside that primal sort of thing, anything I can do to make sort things make a little bit more sense um, can be helpful. So I did mention that there are some places that are good. So camera. So let's go to camera. I'm going to close everything else. Close others. And let's go to camera. And let's go to this. So in our camera, we have oh, interesting. So camera does not seem. So I'm wondering if I've confused myself and it's actually three camera that is got it the way I want it. Yep. So we have our three camera dictionary. So maybe this was very specific. These stories were specific to three instead of ST, but it really should be an ST. So like it's very clear that while I was trying to do a good job, when I did this, we were actually talking about three, not ST, and I didn't specify. So let's go ahead and specify it. Try to learn. So three geometry, strongly typed dictionary, like three camera, and three renderer. Oh, yeah, see, when I went in here, I actually did give myself enough information to realize that I'm talking about the three service, not the regular ST service. So I'm gonna hit save on that, and we're gonna do that. So I thought I had a better grip on what was going on, but I didn't, and I don't think that's unusual. So I'm gonna assign this one to myself. I'm gonna pick this one up, and I'm gonna create a branch. Okay, so it's time to start work. And I have this is by default checked out to locally, so I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to hit this little button to copy to the clipboard. And then I'm going to come over here. And your mileage may vary on this. It may work for you, it may not. Pasting is, yeah, who knows what your OS is, there's so many different moving parts here. But for me, I can just hit Control V and it seems to handle it just fine. So now we are in our three branch, and our goal is to update the three geometry service to have strongly typed dictionary like the three camera. So, and it has the number three in there. So we know it's issue number three. All right, so let's go to our three camera service and let's click on this and just go to the definition and see what we did here. So we do have our base dictionaries. This probably does not belong in our base dictionaries. This probably belongs in something like three dictionaries or something like that. But I like how I did that. I see this should be in a three, but then this should be like in an angular. And then these are in fact base dictionaries. And then these are the kinds of things that could be stored in the sequence generator. So um, and all of these things are like sort of like I don't know what to say, like trivial knowledge, absolute trivial knowledge when you're in the mode that we're currently in, where we're just trying to sort of look at from the 30,000 foot level and trying to just get a grasp of what's going on. This stuff is like, why are you wasting my time with this? But from the coder level, when you're deep in stuff, it is incredibly helpful. So anyways, we're gonna say we're just gonna follow along. We are working on geometry. So hold ThreeJS geometries and three geometry dictionary. And then it's a three. I think I don't know what, I think all we support is box geometries. I think if we do go to our geometry, our 3 camera, this is not what I want. Oh, we're in our layouts. Let's go back to, let's close that. That is a distraction. Go to our camera service. No, we'll go to our well, we don't want to be in that either. So we'll go to our camera service, and then we're going to go to our 3 geometry service, and we'll go in here. And in here, we have defined that, okay, so we only support box geometries at this moment. So at some point, we're going to want to support other kinds of geometries. And having this strong typing is going to be incredibly helpful to figuring out where all the changes we need to make are. It is a bit of a blocker at this point, but it will pay off down the line, because honestly, what we're trying to do will be damn near impossible. Scaling on, just like if we were just doing like a vanilla JS and we're like, okay, now everywhere that we're currently drawing a box geometry, let's also draw a sphere geometry. So like we would be like in the future, we'll do something like this. Is it sphere? Yeah, geometry. Like that. And then the TypeScript will help us, like anywhere where maybe a box geometry has something that we are required, but it is not required in the sphere geometry or something like that. We will, or vice versa, it'll find all those things for us. And that's actually quite incredible, because that used to be, in my opinion, one of the most difficult things about doing upgrades in JavaScript in the future. So that is a problem that used to be just a huge problem. It's just a trivial issue now. All right, so now we have our 3 geometry dictionary, and we misspelled it. And that's good. Good, he's good. Now, so if we had rollups, that's where you have like an index.ts that like just exports all these, then in the future, when we decide to do a refactor to move these into more appropriate places, that would be, it would not affect the code in general. But since we have them where we're just pulling them in directly, when we do refactor, we're gonna have to update the code too. But I think it's a good thing to have to update the code. All right, so 3 geometry service now has this 3 dictionary. And so instead of our geometry dictionary being an any, it's like that. And see, since we have this blue action, showed caution, the IDE will bring it in directly. Will that always be the case? Probably not. And when we do our refactor, like this is a perfect example of something that's just going to break. But then we'll come back in here, and if there's something that we need to watch out for, we'll know, oh, okay, this is a place where we need to take a second look. So I think that's actually a useful thing to break. Now, it does lead to, like, if you're working on a group of people, it can lead to a lot of Git conflicts that are very, very confusing, because in some branches it may be moved, in other branches it may not. So then cherry picking can be really weird. But anyways, I don't know if any of that made sense. But like if you're into Git, and you have a commit that's dependent on this file existing somewhere, then you have to pull it. You also have to pull in the commit that has the change of this. So it can make pulling like pieces of code from other branches much when you make sort of low level changes like this, much more confusing and complex, and can lead to a lot of problems. So it's one of those things. But since it's just me working on this, it's not that big of a deal. All right, so basically, we didn't actually change any code. All we did was inform the transpiler and the IDE better. Um, so I don't think we'll have any issues on unit tests. So let's just go ahead and run the unit test. VM run test. I don't know exactly when is the best, like it, so we had like another set of commits where it was just like one commit, one rabbit hole just led to another rabbit hole, led to another. We ended up with hundreds and hundreds of changes. And it was like, I really wish I had made commits earlier and more often. But like, I had created this rule that I didn't want to do a commit until unit tests were done, until end-to-end tests were done. And just we never got to those. So then when I finally did the commit, there was hundreds of changes, or I think it was exactly 100 changed files. Um, that was bad. That did not work out well. So now I've sort of added a new thing where okay, when I do a code commit, I could do a code commit, but I have to put the word super in there. So like that was an improvement, and it was just like, and that was an improvement, but for like something like this where it's very, very unlikely that it broke any unit tests or any end-to-end tests, and we might as well run the end-to-end tests right now too. This is taking it a little while. Okay, npm run Cypress open. Cypress open. And boom. And I will say that what I am doing right now is hobby coding. I am not this while it may have some stuff in example that are kind of similar to professional coding, it's actually just hobby coding. I'm just coding for hobby. And one of the main reasons is because I just want to condition my mind, my brain to enjoy coding. If all you do is your professional work coding or school coding, you're probably not going to enjoy coding. Um, and you honestly, if you enjoy coding, you will be a better coder, in my opinion. Um, so that was oh yeah, you can't kill it that way. And I did want to look at my coverage. I don't see why changing a single TypeScript would change the coverage, but, and fair warning, if you're launching this is Karma Jasmine, if you're launching a brand new Angular project after about, I think it was December 15th or something, you aren't going to have Jasmine Karma. So this isn't going to be the same experience. You're going to have something called Vite. So, this may not, this unit testing scenario that you're watching right now may not be relevant to you if you're creating an application after December of 2025. So, or really, if you create a brand new application after today, which is December 12/25, there's 100. You aren't gonna. This is not going to be your experience. It's going to be different. And I do have other projects that I'm working on that do use Vite and stuff like that. But anyways, so to kill Karma Jasmine, you have to do it from the command and from the command line, and you have to hit that. And then if you don't do that, if you just kill the browser, it'll just respawn itself. Um, but oh shoot, I killed the wrong one, didn't I? No? Oh, I killed the actual application, not cover. So you're saying exactly what happened. So like if I kill this browser right here, then it'll just bring itself back up again. It'll run all the tests and bring itself up again. But if you do that in Cypress or most other, I don't know of any other thing that does it that way. Um, but oh well. So this time it crashed and it gave up. Um, but anything else that I know of will, when you kill the browser, it kills the process too. Um, So I don't know what that's all about. That might be one reason why Angular decided to move away from Karma Jasmine. And I don't even know like if like React has moved away from Karma Jasmine. I don't really even know how React works with when it comes to like upgrades and stuff like that. Like I just don't have the biggest idea or view. I mean, it really is enough to try to understand Angular. All right. So now we have our end-to-end tests. I'm just going to run through them. I know that we have an expected failure on reflow, and that's to do with the aspect ratio, and we already do have a GitHub issue for that. Do I have another? Okay, so this is our code coverage. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. Yeah, there we go. Oop, that was weird. Okay, so here's our GitHub, and we have our issues. And let's just double check. Maybe we don't. I could have sworn I did that. Oh yeah, that's this one. So this is a bug issue number 10. That is that. So this one passed. I can't really tell really well exactly when you know that a test has been completed. If there's more than one item that's been done, but as you see, this little time there kind of quits. But I have noticed that sometimes it'll quit for um like it'll jump from like 6 to 10 seconds or whatever. So that isn't 100% reliable. So like here's a really good example where like it's still running, but it's hard to tell. So this, no, it's update that I think is the one where it'll break because of the size. And I mean, like this is like the bug that is captured in here. Like I think it's one of the biggest challenges in software development. A lot of times when things get broken, you don't really get a good like it. No one really remembers exactly. Well, so this is not the one that broke. Is it reflow? Did I stop before I was done with reflow? Oh, it was resize, I think. See, this is where I get a little confused. So I think sometimes you have multiple tests and it just sort of hangs and you think it's done, but it's not. And you moved on to the next test. Yeah, so here's the broken thing. As you see, that is not looking right. So routing, I believe routing and AR are faster. It would be better, I think, if AR was the one who broke. But so nothing broke, so we're all good. So this is ready to be committed. So I can kill this. So I wasn't able to kill the other one, right? But I can kill this one. I believe this is the one, yeah, that's currently assigned that I'm currently working on. Um, and it has a branch associated with it. And now I can commit that. So when I do my commits, I always use this tool to look at the changes. So that makes total sense. Everything looks geom. So that's misspelled. Geom. Jeez, yeah, so that was misspelled. And then there's this one. And this is where we use it. And so now we've helped the transpiler know, okay, this is what I'm looking at um, in this commit. I feel like that is so important. It doesn't seem important, but boy, does it does it pay off in the most critical moments? It's like with that thing that kids say today, it's like it doesn't matter till it matters. It's like one of those things where like strong typing just in the rare occurrences, like if you spend an hour coding in the 30 seconds where it really helps, boy, does it help. Um, so now we're all committed. And so this is going to be issue 345. So let's go find another. Or this is video 345, issue number 3. And this is a super commit. Wait. Okay, so this is actually issue 3. I don't know why I said that this other thing removed the reference. I think that was issue 2. So that is very confusing. That's kind of a bummer. Um, I don't even know. I guess you could, there's a way to go back in the main thing and change it in main. Probably not worth it, especially in a team organization. Um, Going in and changing the history so that it reads properly is probably like a nightmare for developers that already have pulled branches with that change in there and stuff. So I think that's one of those things you just have to live with. But removes, let's see, strongly types 3 geometry service dictionary. Strongly types 3 geometry service dictionary. All right. And that is a super commit. It is, in fact, video 345. It is, in fact, issue number 3. So now I can do a push. And then I don't know what happens if I reload this issue that this guy's been updated, this guy's been updated. It kind of seems like at this point it should probably offer for me to create a PR against this. Seems like this would be the right place to do that, but it does not. What if I click on this branch? Okay, so yeah, here it's offering me, presenting me the opportunity to create, compare, and do a pull request. So I'm going to create a pull request. And then I'm just going to take a quick peek at the code just to make sure that it all looks like there's nothing that just stands out. You know, PRs, doing pull requests is a totally different thing in different areas. Like literally every job I've had, a PR is different. There's some jobs that I've had where like approving a PR meant that you downloaded it, you ran it, you went through all the requirements, made sure that everything was right and all that. Some places, all it means is that you looked at the code and you didn't see anything that was off about it. Some places means, like I worked at one place where really all it meant was that they ran the linter. So only the architects had access to the linter. They did not give the linter access to the linter to the developers. So the architect would run the linter and then the architect would then tell you anything that the linter found. Um, so it just means something different everywhere. So this PR has no one assigned to it, so I'm going to assign myself. I don't think that matters. And then I'm going to create the pull request. And so now it's saying, hey, I want to merge this branch into, I don't have any conflicts. I want to merge it into that, into the main branch. So I'm going to hit that. I'm going to confirm it. And then I'm going to say delete it just because I don't want to have like literally 1,000 branches. And that is merged and now it's done. I think if we come over here and we hit refresh, So there's that. And so basically that is that. And now if we hit, we'll go back to oldest. So we have another one. Now what stinks is I found out that as part of this that it looks like we have the same problem in the ST services, and it did not do that. So I don't know. This is hard. So update 3. We know that we want to edit the title of this thing to 3 materials, so like 3 camera and 3 renderer. And we'll hit save. And that's what we'll work on next. We'll hit assign, and then we will create a branch. We'll say we're checking it out locally. I feel like you kind of have 2 choices when you're kind of doing what I'm doing right now, like where we've done it and now we're doing it again. You can sort of drift into sort of a zombie mode situation where you're not really thinking about things, you're just kind of going through the motions, or you can like really start to pay attention to small details. Sometimes zombie mode really is the only way to go. Like it can just be so repetitive and so mind numbing that that's the only way to kind of function. But other times it can be very, very useful to pay attention to small details. So as we hit enter, we pasted it in there. Um, it's kind of weird. This one seems different. I felt like there was multiple lines in the past. For some reason, we don't have multiple lines this time today. But we are saying get checkout. But see, it didn't do. Oh, okay. So yeah, this was the first line, get fetch origin, and then somehow it knew to go to a new line, and this is the second line. So hit enter, and then a bunch of things happened in there. I think the fetch probably reached out to the server, got the list, and all that. So it is high noon. Um, this video is 32 minutes long. Okay, let's see if we can run through another one of these things. All right. So we know the geometry service is right now. So let's go to there. Let's go to this implementation. Is it the implement? No, we want to go to the definition. Okay, so we want to add a new one. And the one we're working on now is called material. So pulls 3 geometries, ThreeJS materials. Your chances of like really noticing something very important go way up once you're going through it again, if you pay attention, if you take advantage of that. If you start to sort of um, drift and daydream and stuff like that, you probably will not notice important details. All right, so I know that this is what we're working on. I'm going to close others. And then last time when we were in this situation, we actually went to the 3 material service to figure out what we currently support. We are going to be supporting different things, right? So I know there's more than one kind of material. So this, we only support 3 mesh normal materials. And just to be sure that we have an any there. Okay. I can't remember if I copied the whole 3 or not. Yep, I did. All right. So basically we're saying we have a ThreeJS material dictionary. It has a number and the material. So we hit save. Now we can hit back, and then I can't even remember what this was called. 3 material dictionary. Control copy. Holy. Then we want to import it. We're going to save it. This is very likely like if you were actually doing like legitimate PRs with bosses and stuff, this is probably something that they would probably want you to put into a roll up or maybe whatever, some other scene. They probably would not be happy with this deep nesting like this. And then like sometimes you can create like aliases and you could use an alias. I personally as a developer appreciate when this breaks getting a chance to go look and see why it broke. Um, Definitely if you're not a developer, this may be more of a pain in the butt than it's worth. But anyways, and then sometimes you'll get multiple developers naming things the same way, but they're just in different places, and then that's insanely confusing. So, so that is another thing. But anyways, so there shouldn't be any issues. I guess we should go ahead and go through the whole process again, though, of running the unit tests. I'm not even going to look to see that they pass. I'm just going to look for that number. And I think Cypress is still up and running, right? Let's see. Cypress, yep. Cypress is still up and running, so let's go ahead and run those. So that's nice. That's a time saver. And I'll be really glad when we fix this issue with the breaking one, because honestly, this would have been a perfect time to just run the scripts instead of headless, running them, instead of manually running them. Since we literally just made a very similar thing change. And this, I guess, is more like to enforce discipline on myself than anything else. But I'm going to let this thing run through, and then once it's all done running through, I'll go take a look. And I'm assuming that the unit tests are just going to be 100%. I see that they all passed um, on this. See, we can see that all of them passed. Oh, you can't really see any of that. So weird. This is very strange. Oh, so the bottom of this browser is covering the entire view. There we go. I couldn't actually see it because I can see myself in this recording on on my laptop, but the bottom of the browser is covering it. But as you can see, all of them are passing. So I'm just gonna move that back off. This was an expected failure. This you can tell that it didn't work right. That's not funny, right? That's not funny at all. Oh yeah? Oh yeah? So anyways, now we're checking delete. So we saw that resize failed as expected. That's pretty, Rat. That was pretty. Woo, 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 woo. Okay, so yeah, everything passed. Now let's just come down here, look over here, make sure we're still sitting at 100%. Yep, we're still sitting at 100%. So we're good. Let's kill this one. And let's go ahead and kill that again. I don't know what your problem is, bro. Raw. All right, so now we've got this. Let's go ahead and take a quick gander, a peek at our changes, make sure that there's no weird spellings or anything, or try to make sure of that. All right, so we're going to commit this. This is still, but this is issue 4. Strongly typed material service dictionary. 3 material service dictionary. So we strongly type that. And now we haven't staged any of it. So I'm going to hit this little button up here that says stage all changes. And then they're all staged. So we can commit and git push. And then close this. So it's kind of funny because like on LinkedIn, from time to time, I'll see like all these videos about like how junior developers all say they can't wait till the day that they can code without any kind of help from an AI and stuff like that. And the thing is like, and then they'll always get like, there's nothing wrong with coding with AI, and that is 100% true. But I will say that your personal experience is better if you can if you can get stuff done without an AI. It just personally feels better. But if you can code better and do a better job with AI, then you should use the AI. But if you could do just as good of a job on your own, trying to remember and stuff like that, you should do it on your own, just for your own personal benefit. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, so this is assigned, right? Yep, and then this is there, and now I'm going to click on the branch, because if I remember correctly, if I click on the branch, it'll give me the option to create my pull request. So that happened because I did a git push. And then that's all my changes, so they look good. I'm going to create a pull request. I'm going to assign it to myself first, and then I'm going to create a pull request. And I saw that it said that it was able to merge. That's a good thing. It says no conflicts with the base branch. That's a good thing. And then if I want to see the changes, I have to click this file changed. It's always a good idea. I don't know, like I said, whatever your responsibility as a pull requester, it really varies dramatically from organization to organization. So, I'm not really going to comment much other than to say that you could have to do a lot of other things. So this all makes sense. This is 345, video 345, super issue 04, strongly types material 3 service. Commit and delete the branch and go back to our issues and go to oldest. I probably will add some more issues to deal with dictionaries in the other, um, on the ST side of the house, but I can only take so much of that before I just get frustrated. All right, so mesh services next. So I'm just going to create a branch for that. This is one of those things that's just so much faster to do right now than to try to do tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning it's going to be a lot harder. It's just going to take longer. It's so much faster just to create a branch, copy it, move over. It also saves time tomorrow, so I know what I'm working on. So I'm going to create this branch. Basically, we're going to do the exact same thing for mesh. All right, so I'm going to check out. I'm going to say create this branch. I have this. Now you can work on it in the desktop. I do not think this kind of concept just keeps coming back over and over and over again of trying to use like a cloud resource or something like that to do development. And it just, for anything that I've ever worked on, it has not been feasible. I've worked out, like I remember back, I want to say in the 90s, there was this whole company called Citrix. They're probably still around, but we tried to do that. We tried to build a bunch of software in Citrix and it just did not work. We had like, this was like a $1 billion project that sort of died at the $200 million level. And there was like a couple hundred people working on it. and there was like 20 developers, and everybody other than the 20 developers had to work on Citrix. They tried to make the developers work on Citrix. It just didn't work. We all had to get our own local machines with our own local instances. That was not like a web application. It was some application called Uniface, which was a lot like if you. This isn't a great description, but if you ever like the best description in today's context would be like Visual Basic. It was like a Visual Basic project, or like if you work in Access, like Access database, like something that's not a great example of what Uniface was, but it was like along those lines. So create branch, and so oh no, I did not want to do this. So I did it. I have my branch. This is not good. So it looks like we're gonna have to do this by hand now. So the name of this branch, the name of this branch is 5 update mesh. So I do this. This is how I have to do it at work. So it wasn't like this isn't the craziest thing for me. I guess it's good that I do it. But basically, what I have to do is I have to come in here and say get and fetch. And what this will do is this. My understanding of what this does is it actually goes to the origin, which is the remote repository, and updates my list. So right now my list is out of sync with the list of branches that are at the origin. So if I say get fetch, see it says, oh, there was a new one. I found a new one. It's this. Now, what you can do is you can click this button here now, and then you can go to 5, right? So I can type in the number 5 here and it'll actually um, break it down. And so basically now I'm what I would if I would have done the copy and paste, this is the exact same thing. And if you think about it, that copy and paste does do get fetch origin and then get checkout, blah, blah, blah. So basically it just puts that into one thing that I can hit paste and hit enter and it does it. So that's that. Now that's what I'm gonna work on tomorrow. Happy coding, everybody. Have a wonderful Christmas and see y'all tomorrow. Bye.